Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Jostar podcast. Today we're going to be covering the rest of Cars on the Road, She-Hulk episode 5, D23 announcements, and Rick and Morty episode 1 and 2. Let's get into it. Finishing off Cars on the Road, we have episode 8 and 9. So, episode 8, the designs of the cars were quite good. I didn't really find interest in this episode specifically, but it was a good one. The obstacle course was rough because there were like chainsaws and spikes and all that, and Mater and McQueen had to face off against each other. The battle started out weird. McQueen's speech was good. And then it ended up working out. There wasn't really much going on. It was quite. I think it was about 8 minutes long, and there wasn't really much going on that I could find interesting. But apparently it was a reference to Mad Max from what I heard. Like I watched the episodes, I wrote it down, and then I watched a video a couple of hours later or something, and they said, oh, it was just a reference to Mad Max. And now on to episode 9, which was the official arrival of them arriving in to Mater's sister's wedding. And first off, I'd like to say, if you remember in Cars 1, when they had the flashback and Mater was light blue color before he became rusty, I feel like that's what he looked like before he moved to Radiator Springs. He looked like that, and his sister was the same. But at the start, I was like, oh, it's a little off that he looks like this and she looks like that. But then I remembered there was a flashback, and like I said, Mater looks completely different than he does. Mater had this little stomach problem, which was caused by anxiety, and it was a little silly. And the fact that it was his sister made him anxious was a little worse. The fact that she has a mansion is shocking, and also the fact Mater lived there. From how McQueen knew Mater as a silly old tow truck and rusty and stuff, to him growing up in a mansion made him completely shocked. Cruz was there, and her cousin, I think it was, I can't remember, but her cousin was getting married to Mater's sister. And so basically now Mater and Cruz are family. But unlike what Mater said when he said, I'm going to be Mater Ramirez, he's going to stay as Mater, but he will have someone related to Cruz. So they're basically family. Mater's sister was nice to start with, but then they started getting into battles and stuff, and the battles between them were actually amazing. And what they did was like race to the oak tree backwards, climb up a tree, rock paper scissors was the funniest one, because they have tires as hands and there's nothing else they can do. And so they went, rock, paper, scissors, shoot, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. And yeah, the Mater's speech was touching, and he used it from the movie episode when he was the Prime Minister. And so, yeah. And the fact that the honeymoon was, there was a post-credit scene where the honeymoon was in the world's largest tire maze, which Meta and McQueen were in, was quite funny. Okay, moving on now to She-Hulk, episode 5. First off, I'd like to say I am looking forward to the next one, but you will find out by the end why I am so excited. Um, Titania advert was weird. It was basically in this episode was like She-Hulk versus Titania, but more in a court case because Titania was using She-Hulk as name of her brand. And so, yeah, the She Hulk logo turned into Titania's logo, which I found a little odd, but it worked out per se to lead it into what was happening, is all. The products sold by Titania were weird, off. It was like going into a museum just to look at makeup. Us guys, we wouldn't want to go there. And Jen definitely didn't want to be there. But the reason she wanted to be there was so that she could talk to Titania and say, "Why are you suing me? This is my name." And so on and stuff like that. And her and Jen complaining about the name was silly was a silly thing to include. And her crushing her stapler was funny, and that was one of the best bits. One of, I say. I'm excited to tell you. But it was quite funny how she was dressed. She was the Hulk version, and because she has super strength like the Hulk does, she was getting mad, and so she was holding it, and then she ended up crunching it like that. I didn't mean to look like Thanos, but you know, uh, the guy wanting a pair of limited editions, that was pretty stupid. But then when we actually got to the store, no shoes whatsoever. And the fact that the shop was in the back of a boba tea station, was completely cool. But also the fact no shoes whatsoever, just t-shirts, weapons, hats, crazy. And like the toys and stuff look, well, the quote unquote, I don't know how to say it, memorabilia looked like toys. Because when he went to pick up Thor's hammer, like, you can't pick up Thor's hammer, so obviously it's not the real thing. It's a it's a it's a toy, basically. And the fact that he was doing that thing that looked like Cap in Endgame was silly. Jen thinks that's this is like Spider-Man again when when Jen thinks Doctor Strange is a made-up name. His name is Dr. Stephen Strange. And Thor Odinson, that's his name. She thinks they're their heroes' names because, yeah, what else would you want to do? You wouldn't want a comic called Thor Odinson, or you wouldn't want Thunder God as the comic name. The court scene was amazing. They were actually able to talk about the difference between each one, and then they had to come to a conclusion by Thursday. And so what Jen had to do was she kind of risked embarrassing herself by showing off her dating profile, which was the only way that she could get back at Titania. And then there was a designer that Nikki and the other guy went to, and he was a bit off to start with, but nearer the end, he got a lot better, and I feel like the person who played him pulled him off really well. Um, and he said there was a fire-resistant suit which could actually refer to Johnny Storm, but I'm not sure because it's a bit of a on and off thing with 20th Century Fox and Disney at the moment. Sorry, I didn't mean to take that long. I think very shortly. But let me tell you this. This is not spoiling what I'm about to say later on, but in D23 announcements, no X-Men, no Deadpool, no Fantastic Four. There you go. That's it. But I am referring that it could be, and I am not part of Marvel. I am not part of Disney. This is just my opinion saying I think this is who it could be talking about. The reunion between She-Hulk and Todd was awkward to say, but overall it did work out quite well with Todd working with Titania. Um, the dating scene with the ex-datees was funny, and the fact that they had to go up and say a speech and say, I promise to swear, and then tell them about Jen's She-Hulk's profile and how they went on with their date. And they gained favor of the judge and won. So Titania will no longer be allowed to sell She-Hulk products. However, she will probably come back to try and destroy Jen. There was a bar scene which was funny and it was quite nice. And finally, there was a Daredevil helmet in the designer room. I am happy with what they've done with Daredevil. This will be, they did show him in the trailers. He looked cool. But this helmet makes him look amazing. And because he's a lawyer too, and he's shown up in Spider-Man No Way Home, I am excited for him to come into She-Hulk, as they are both lawyers and they could work well together. And because of the trailers, we have seen them both outside, which could lead to Daredevil and She-Hulk versus Titania and maybe someone else, but we're not sure. And also, hopefully, we're going to get She-Hulk's costume. She-Hulk's comic accurate costume, well, not comic accurate, but close to comic accurate costume, because the designer was like, oh, I'll give you this as well, because he had made suits for She-Hulk and Jen, and she has to wear them, and because she's gets big and stuff like that. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. D23 announcements. Like I said, for the Marvel segment, no X-Men, no Deadpool, no Fantastic Four. I was expecting Deadpool, but we'll leave those till later. 20th Century Fox probably did something. I don't know. They need to hurry up because Phase 6, they've got Phase 5 all done. They had that all decided, and they started Phase 6 in Comic Con, and they had missing bits. So I don't know what's taking them so long. But starting off, we have got Indiana Jones 5. Harrison Ford is coming back as Indiana Jones, and yeah, he just came on stage. I didn't go. I've just heard this. He came on stage and announced Indiana Jones 5, which was amazing. Also, in the Disney live action Disney's, we have live action Snow White to come out for 2024. With previous live action things, I'm hoping they get a little better because some of them have done good, like The Lion King and Jungle Book and some others, but others just have not done as well as they could have, like the live action Dumbo. Also, Mufasa, a Lion King spin off, is to come. It's a live action prequel, which is to come out also in 2024. And we got a first look at the Little Mermaid live action. The actress is good. Her voice is amazing, but I do feel like it's going to do the best it can to make it as close as possible. Onto the animated bits. Pixar are making a short called Win and Lose. We don't really know what it's about. From a picture, it looks like it's maybe a soccer game or football game, depending on where you are. Also, Inside It Out 2 is in the works, but there is something I wanted to talk about, which is I am not sure how they're going to do it, because apparently what they've said is they're going to make it into a teenager. So we don't really know what's going to happen, because if you've grown up as a teenager, as I have, like, there's been a bunch of like swearing and stuff, and you might even like think about sex and stuff. And so I don't know what they're going to do about that, because like if I was to Inside Out 1 was great, but they left it perfectly. We didn't want, because there was a moment when they were when Fear censored stuff, and Anger was literally about to use the F word and that sort of thing. So I don't know how they're going to make it quite childish, although they might have to do a little twisting and stuff. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen. So hopefully, yeah. Wish, a new film is coming out. Don't know when. And more on Pixar's next series, not series, sorry, next film, next big film, like after I want to say Luca, something like that. This is the next one, and Strange World. I don't know if it's an animated or a Disney project, but it's coming out November 23rd this year. And moving on to the Star Wars segment, Tales of a Jedi. I feel like it's going to be linked to Clone Wars, because in in the film, in a picture, I did see Ahsoka and Anakin, I believe, and that's what. Um, yeah, it's an animated version that I think will link to Clone Wars, and then they had a Mandalorian season 3 is coming out. I haven't I haven't been that interested in the past two series, but I feel like they are making progress. I think it's because people have loved the Mandalorian since he first appeared, and so they wanted to keep going and seeing if people would actually eat it up or something like that. And oh, it's the Marvel segment. We got Werewolf by Night, which is going to be it's going to be a Halloween special. I was about to say holiday, but holiday is Christmas. And hopefully we're going to get the Guardians holiday special trailer soon. But hold on. Werewolf by Night, I feel like there are certain things I do like, because like there are things, new Marvel characters, I should say, instead of things, but there are new Marvel things like Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, Eternal, Shang-Chi, and then there are and those other ones like She-Hulk and stuff. They are new to me, but I didn't know how I was going to feel going into them. However, some like Eternals and maybe a little bit of Miss Marvel, I didn't really like it. But some of the more recent ones like Shang-Chi, Moon Knight, and She-Hulk have got me engaged. I really like these new characters, and I don't know how they're going to link it all together. I know She-Hulk can join with Bruce Banner and that sort of thing, but if they want to get Avengers, then they're gonna have to team people up and stuff. And also, it looks like it's going to be a black and white film, and I'm really okay to see what happens and stuff. So, Secret Invasion is the next one. We got a first trailer for that, and to be honest, I'm excited. Like I just said about Shang-Chi and stuff, I'm excited to see what goes on, because it's linked with Nick Fury, Maria Rambeau, and so on and so on. And because it's so linked to other things, I feel like it will work out, but I'm also excited to see who could be a scroll. And also the fact that Rhodey is involved in it is quite cool. And I feel like it would be set somewhere in 2025, 2026 era. So maybe November late November 2025, or early February 2026. Because there's a scene in the trailer that goes, "You've been avoiding Earth for 3 years." So I don't know if that's because he was the actual one that got dusted, or that Talos was the one who got dusted, but yeah. Also, we got Armor Wars title reveal, which looks cool, but I wanted to see like when it would come out and stuff, because we don't know if it's part of phase 5 or phase 6, but anything could happen to that. And because it's Tony Stark's armor and Tony Stark's work getting into the wrong hands, I I don't know if this is. I'm with the people who think Justin Hammer is going to be part of it. And then we got the Thunderbolts lineup, which most people are not that happy about, but also I'm in between. I'm happy to see Red Guardian and Ghost and Yelena and um, John Walker and Taskmaster, but some of them just do the same thing, like Red Guardian and Red Guardian Linnea, Taskmaster and Bucky and US Agent John Walker all do fist fighting. I feel like I know they're all linked with super soldier serum and stuff, but I feel like if if they were they if they were to do something, they could have added Abomination. And I also feel like they're missing Baron Zemo. In the comics, he's the one who makes the Thunderbolts team. However, I have also heard about this, that Baron Zemo might be making a different team, and so he's going to go head to head with them. But then he's going to be like, "Oh, these people are the best team," and then he'll be like, "Oh, the team we need is and I don't know, but it could be anything." Um, okay, Captain America: New World Order. We got more stuff on that. Tim Blake's going to return. Tim Blake Nelson is going to return as the leader from the Hulk series. Not really sure. I don't know which Hulk series that is. And Falcon's going to return, and apparently Goose is going to return in the Marvels, and then we got more stuff on Wakanda Forever, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, the Marvels, Loki season 2, which is going to have another TVA agent in it, who the actor has played in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah, and Echo, Daredevil, Born Again. Once again, no, that's the character. Thingy and Vincent D'Onofrio walked on and said, "This is Daredevil," and and obviously Captain America: New World Order, and there is a new game coming out, Marvel World of Heroes, new game by Niantic, who are the people who did Pokemon Go, coming 2023. And finally, for D23 announcements, Percy Jackson, the Olympia thing. I've never really been a big fan of Percy Jackson type thing, but if you guys like adventure and that sort of thing, this is a film to go see. Okay, next up, we recently got some news on Knives Out, Glass Onion, which for some reason is streaming on Netflix December 23rd and in certain cinemas as well. So if you're one of the lucky ones, you might be able to go see Knives Out, Glass Onion in the cinema. If not, you can just stream it on Netflix December 23rd this year. It's exciting, but like I did like the first Knives Out. It's a little weird. We haven't really got a trailer for it, to be honest. I could search it up and then maybe break it down in the next one, but it depends what happens. So, moving on, Rick and Morty, extremely hilarious. Um, Episode 1 started making fun of Iron Man in Endgame when he was sitting there almost dead, and he was like, I don't have an Iron Man helmet like that Iron Guy in that Marvel film. Yeah. Each character that was from a different universe got sent back to their own whilst glowing green. In Rick's universe, he was looking for his daughter's murderer, even though we know the murderer ends up being from Morty's original universe. In Morty's world, he runs into his father by accidentally stabbing him, which was a bit odd. Seeing Beth and Summer team up was cool. Rick had a sad life, and I think he might have created a voice for his wife to be like, "Oh, if you didn't really want to do that sort of thing, then yeah," and so on and so on. Rick traveling through a portal now is cool. The place Morty went to was frozen in ice, and his mum and sister had passed away. Hypothermia or something like that, I would say. Also, using the monster's brain for food was disgusting. And then, whilst Morty went away, his father took his stuff and then he just started writing notes, and it was quite hilarious. And one of the notes he wrote quickly, and it was like, "Morty, took stuff, gotta go, bye." Something like that. It was hilarious. Um, The other Rick was crazy, and the original one killed Rick's family. Like I said, he was the one who killed Rick's daughter in his universe. Clone Rick naked was weird. He just shoved his butt in our face. Season 2, Jerry and Mr. Frandles was the most hilarious part of Rick and Morty. And Mr. Frandles taking over the world is funny because he just kept eating and eating until he had taken over the world. And he was like, "Mr. Frandles!" And then they had to travel to another universe where everyone was dead, and so on and so on. Yeah, it was odd. And now, episode 2, starting with a video game world to get Morty out was funny because there was one of 15,000 parts of Morty had traveled in as NPCs. Summer not seeing Die Hard was cool. I hadn't seen Die Hard, and then later we'll find out. The video game "Don't Touch Me" was funny because Summer was hiding behind it, and then she went out, and then it started saying, "Don't touch me! Don't touch me!" The talk between Marta and Maureen was saddening. They wanted to try, and and the Marine was saddening because they were each part of Morty, and he wanted them to join together so that they could go out peacefully. Summer eating blood was and eating blood was silly but disgusting, and the fact he blew up in her face, it was like sweet but ugh. The president was odd, even though he was like part of Morty. And then there was the 8% funny thing, which was like 8% of a 8% of a pizza is crust. 8% of Zack Snyder's Justice League was Batman dreaming. And I liked the different Mortys as country leaders, and they actually made it look as if they were from that country, because in Britain they have 3 podiums with the British flags behind them, and so they actually might have done research and looked around all countries' news and had people see what sort of news they'd heard and how they should animate it, which was quite cool. The villain doing the speaker thing was funny because it was like do, and he was holding it on his shoulder, and he thought he had won, but he hadn't. Die Hard ending was off, and Summer copied it, and she taped a gun to her back, and yeah. And Rick and Morty coming back was cool, and Tower Man ate a guy. That's it for Rick and Morty, but there is one thing I want to share with you. Nintendo Direct came out a couple of days ago, and they released a new Legend of Zelda Tears of a Kingdom. And also with online play, GoldenEye and Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 and other stuff as well. But thanks anyway for watching. Join me next time where we'll continue watching She-Hulk with episode 6 and Rick and Morty episode 3. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.